Welcome to Love and Liberate. I'm Emilie, your host. I'm a self-leadership coach, embodiment teacher, artist, and an activist for love. Now, I don't mean the fluffy kind of love. I'm talking about the real, the raw, confronting kind of love, the kind that cracks you wide open and liberates you, creating a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you. Because that is what I believe life truly is about. So through personal stories and inspiring, soul-stirring conversations on all things healing, embodiment, and spirituality, I'll help you navigate the good, the bad, and the ugly with tangible tools, fresh perspectives, and of course, a truckload of love. Here's to loving and liberating, one heart at a time. Hey everyone, welcome back to Love and Liberate. Another day, another episode. I have a juicy one for you today. By that I mean I am going to share something personal and then I'm going to kind of like dissect what's going on there, and I'm also going to give you some tips and tricks, and I'll share also what the experience for me looked like and how I help myself, in the hopes, obviously, that I can help you with that. So today's episode is about feeling stuck. And I'm not saying being stuck, because that's the tricky, messy part that your brain and your body plays on you. It's mixing up the experience of being stuck versus actually being stuck. Let me clarify. Feeling stuck is internalized trauma, pain, prison that happens, that lives in your body long after, years after you've suffered from a specific trauma or abuse or whatever. So what trauma really is at some point you have a bad experience, and then that bad experience, instead of that moment being over and your body knowing, oh, this has passed, all is well now, your body kind of stays in this state of, oh God, it could happen at any given moment again. That's basically, in a very short, non-medical way, what trauma is. And it's also the story that we tell about the thing that happened that is causing for the experience to become a traumatic experience instead of just an experience. Why am I explaining all of this? Because what happened to me is I have a very conflicted relationship with doing, action, structure, going for it. And I have a lot of fire and I have a lot of energy and I love creating and I love making things. But then at some point, all of a sudden, a massive block could just like happen to me. And it feels really external. Whereas obviously it is internal, because there is no one outside of me. There's no one telling me, stop, no, you can't work on your computer right now. There's nothing external that I can blame this situation on of being blocked. However, the feeling is that something inside, outside, I don't know, something overpowering is taking over and is causing me to not be able to move forward. And so I was talking to my friend in a voice message. That's the relationship we have because we live in different countries. And I was explaining how it felt and what I was going through, how I really wanted to create, and how I at moments feel super inspired and creative, and then all of a sudden a burst of energy just like soars through me and pushes me forward, and then all of a sudden, boom, done, nothing. And I could maybe have a lot of energy, but then still a block could just like show up all of a sudden and nothing comes out of me. And then it's like everything goes dark and I have no more, context. I have no more tools, really. It really feels like regressing to a former moment in my life, a previous moment of, prison, it felt like. So I was explaining to her what that felt like, and then she came back to me saying like, well, it's a good thing that it's not outside of you, that it is inside of you, because that gives you also the power to do something about it. And I was like, ooh, yeah, absolutely 100% true. I believe that. That's my work. That's why I do what I do, because I've seen my clients, but also myself, overcome crazy obstacles that you think are just like, that's never gonna, like, this is just a part of me in my life. But no, nope, nope. All of a sudden, you liberate yourself. But still, when people don't acknowledge how big the effect of your upbringing and the first, let's say, 20 years of your life, 20, 25 years of your life can be inside an environment that continuously, incessantly, in all kinds of ways tells you things about yourself and about the world that really don't feel good in your body, or that really don't align with your own personal values, but you're just too young to figure things out by yourself, or you already feel it but you can't really stand up for yourself, and you just have to take in all these ideas and behaviors that hurt you. That's indoctrination, that's brainwashing, even though they think they're doing a good job and they don't mean bad. Because as a 4-year-old, you can be like, all right, that's it. That's the last little bit that I'm taking. I'm packing my bags. But once you get out of that environment where the threat was real, and now you're out of the environment and the threat is no longer there, it takes time to let your nervous system, your body, your brain, your everything, your soul, to let it know that today is different and you are free now and you can move beyond a blockage that is no longer physically there. But I just wanted to, acknowledge, because what happened when my friend said that to me was like, yeah, but also it feels as real, So even though I have a truckload of tools, even though I believe that and know that that is like, that's how we move through life. But the main difficulty, when it's not necessarily a constant physical abuse of some sorts, it really is about brainwashing and about, you don't know what is true and what isn't. You were taught some things about yourself and the world that you just like, it's scary and weird to unlearn these things because they were all you knew. So that takes a while, to feel safe with other beliefs and with other ideas that used to be the enemy in your house where you grew up. So, yeah, I just wanted to share a little something about that as like, I don't know, like as an acknowledgement, a recognition of sorts to say like, I see you, like the healing journey is long and winding, and it's sometimes tough and sometimes unclear, and sometimes, even though you know that the enemy is no longer there, you've internalized the enemy. It's inside of your body now, and it's so tricky to undo that, and to, even though you know, to realize and then act on it, because it's internalized self-hate is not something that you can just like lay off as some kind of poncho, So yeah, that's what I wanted to share today, because I felt a tatsy-watsy defensive when she shared that, because I was like, well, so that's suggesting that I don't know that, or suggesting that it should be easier to overcome, or I don't know. So obviously none of the above applied to her intentions, but it triggered me. And then I thought, well, if it triggers me, it might trigger someone else out there. So maybe it helps if I share my experience with it. And acknowledge how difficult it can be to consciously know that the threat is gone, but to still see and feel it everywhere. And as you're venturing out into the world and you're making your own life you come across different ideas and different points of view, and you're like, oh wow, is that an option? Oh wow, is that an option? Oh my god, that actually really resonates with me. But then your fear state might go on because you're like, oh, but this is so different to what I was taught. And back home, we thought very differently about the topic. And also, we not only thought differently about it, we also really judged people doing this or thinking so and so. So, anyway, just a gentle reminder and acknowledgement that you are a human working your ass off to unlearn things that do not feel good for you. And I see you. I feel you. And I'm still walking the path alongside of you. I am no better and I'm no less human than anybody else out there. So, a few tips and tricks that help me when I get into my spiral. Number one, most important one, is tap into my body. Really feel what's going on in my body, honor what's going on, and ride the waves. So maybe it can be like a massive stuckness in your belly or in your stomach, or maybe your heart gets super tight. Maybe there is some kind of panic happening. Whatever is happening in your body, if you allow your body to express what it's holding on to, that's the first way through and out of your stuckness. So usually, well, my first, I was going to say usually, I'm just going to speak for myself here. My first response usually is maybe chocolate or have like a glass of wine, something to like numb or to overrule the feeling that's there and that's highly unpleasant. Who am I to pretend that I never numb? God, I'm a number. Of course I am. And even though it works in the moment, but what happened was that I tried to do sit with the feeling. And after my chocolate party, I went into my room. It was just like 3 p.m. Went into my room. I closed the shutters to make it dark. And I was looking for some kind of relief, like some kind of, let me just lay and bathe in it and allow it to flood over me. And as I did, I started to feel so sad. Like there was like, instead of the stuckness and the frustration, all of a sudden, within the confinement of this dark room, there was also some kind of softness allowing me to move through whatever was happening in the moment. So what happened is I started sobbing, really. And as I was sobbing, I was also recognizing, wow, this is a very, very, very young part of me that is feeling stuck. This is not a grown-up response to life. I mean, not to say that grown-ups don't go into a dark room to cry after they had a truckload of chocolate, but but it felt, as I was laying on my bed and as I was shedding my tears and like sobbing, it really felt like a little girl who felt super overpowered, overwhelmed, basically. And she just could not move one finger. And I was just there holding her / myself. And I was like, I get that, you know, I see you. So I gave myself the time and the space to have a proper sob. And then after the sob, all of a sudden, I was like, I think that I am ready to fucking do this. And I pulled myself out of that dark room, opened the shutters, opened the windows, took like a few big breaths and like moved and shaked around a little with my body. And then I was like, all right, okay, now there's spaciousness. Now there's an openness. Like I moved through this little hurdle, this little bump, because spoiler alert, this is not the first time that I meet this stuckness, you know? So it's like everything on our healing journey, it's a spiral. It's not like, oh, wow, I finally overcame this and now that's never going to happen to me again. Well, if it's happened to you your entire life up until this point, up until this moment, it's very likely to, you know, visit you again in a new shape or form sometime in the future. but on a higher level, and you will have gathered more tools. So not to disencourage you, but just to acknowledge that this is the only way, and to also acknowledge like that's also same for me. Even though I have a truckload of tools and I feel really equipped to take care of myself and to move through those bumps, still they are bumps of the same theme and part of the same pattern that just revisit me time and again. So also a little acknowledgement there. So yeah, that was number one. Really go and sit with the feeling. Even though you've numbed before, you tried to numb it, even though you go straight to the feeling and you're not a number, good for you. Hooray, applause, please. Let me know who you are, because I haven't met a human like that before. So feel your body, be with your body, and allow whatever wants to be felt just to feel it. However uncomfortable, know that it is going to pass. So that's number one. Number two, I feel very strongly about community. So there's a few people in my circle that I can let know, that I can tell, hi guy, it's a spiral where I'm in. And then they remind me, okay, that's a spiral. You're good. You got this. You've been here before. So not necessarily that this should be like your go-to place to ask somebody to cheerlead you out of your spiral, but knowing that there's community, that there's people close by who are aware of this pattern and also the quality of the pattern. So not only what it's about, but also how you then respond and what happens to your body and your mind, what places do your mind go, and just, tell people, let people into the spiral, because it will help to, it takes away a little bit of the power of the spiral. Even though it's still there and it's still super real, it's no longer you in a dark room all by yourself spiraling. So that's another thing. And then a last tip is a little note or something physical, visible, tangible that is in your environment where you can reach out to. So my current day physical reminder that I will make it through, and that I've been here before, and that this is just part of the game, and that I got this, is a note from a very dear friend of mine who wrote to me when I was spiraling and in my room, retreating and trying to ride the waves. As I came out of my room, she had left me a little note saying, even when it's dark, you are still that strong, courageous, bold woman, and you got this. And that just blew up my chest. It was so beautiful, and I have it on my fridge. And sometimes it moves, sometimes I need it by the side of my bed, and sometimes it's not there, and then I pull it out. So yeah, creating tools, gathering tools to get out of the stuckness. That's my top 3. Obviously, there's a gazillion things you can do and you can think of, because it's also very personal, But yeah, maybe try one of these. Let me know if they work. Let me know if you have some great tips for the community that you want to share. And yeah, I hope this helps. I really do. Because to be honest, otherwise I really wouldn't bother sharing all of my deepest feelings with total strangers. You know what I mean? So that's also why I love to hear from you. So you're not a total stranger. So please share your experience, what this brought up for you, how you manage your internal versus external prisons, and if anything came up for you, always welcome to share as well. And if there's something you would like for me to speak to or talk about on the podcast, or guests that you'd like to have on, let me know. I love to hear from you. I want this to be a community conversation, so let's keep it alive. And I wish you a lovely rest of your day. Subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already, so you know when a new episode comes out, and share with a friend if you think this is valuable. And if not, sail on, sailor. Here's to love and liberating, one heart at a time.